In the name of Allah, most compassionate and the most merciful. Dear students and learners, in this video we will be talking about the basic uses, or let's say the essential uses of commas. Firstly, one of the most common uses of commas is used to separate items in a list. For example, when we have a list that includes items, we will be using commas to separate them. As you can see in this example, you can travel by car, bus, or plane. So the use of these commas are to separate items, words in a list. The second example, he speaks Kurdish, Arabic, and English. So these commas are used to separate items in a list. Number one. Second, the second use of commas is to separate the dependent from the independent clause. Usually, in the complex sentences, as you can see, if the dependent part, as you can see, if you study hard, this part is dependent, comes first, we need a comma to separate the first part from the second part. If you study hard, you'll pass the exam. And how do we know that this sentence is complex? Because it has the subordinating conjunction if, and here we have got when. And there are a number of subordinating conjunctions that you need to memorize them. Here, the use of the comma is to separate two clauses, or to separate the dependent from the independent clause, specifically. The second example, when you called me, I was asleep. This part is dependent, so the use of comma is to separate the dependent clause from the independent. That was number two. Number three, this sentence, like the use of this comma is to join two independent clauses in compound sentences, as we have fanboys. When we have fanboys, before the fanboy, a comma is used to join two sentences, two independent clauses. Okay? I visited them and they were happy. So what is the use of this comma? Again, it is to join two independent clauses, two main clauses, let's say. And here we have got Anne, which is one of the fanboys. She wanted to go for a walk, comma, but it started raining. So this comma is, again, to join two independent clauses. That is the third use. We can basically say that the second use and the third use are very similar to each other because they are used to join or separate two clauses. Number four, separating connectives or introductory phrases. So we can use comma to separate a connective when it comes at the beginning of a sentence, or sometimes it's an introductory phrase. Let's take a look at the first example. Also, I told him the truth. So here, the use of this comma is to separate the connective from the rest of the words of the sentence. Here is the same. First, it is a connective. On the other hand, this is another connective. We all have many other connectives that we can separate it with a comma from the rest of the word. And sometimes a comma is used to separate the introductory phrase, as you can see here, in the morning. It's not a connective, but it's a phrase that introduces a sentence. So we need a comma to separate this introductory phrase from the rest of the words of the sentence. After the meeting, we went home. At the end of the day, everyone felt tired. These are other uses of commas. Let's check the Fifth one, to add extra information. Whenever we have two commas, whenever you have two commas, and the information between the two commas, it's extra. It is additional information. Or sometimes it's an explanation, but basically with commas, it's extra, meaning that removing it does not affect the flow of the sentence. Like it does not change the meaning of the sentence. For example, Andrea Pirlo, the winner of the 2006 World Cup, was a great player. So even if you remove this extra information, the meaning of the sentence is the same. It's only extra. Let's check the next example. In my favorite season, spring, so you will see two commas, and the word, or the information that has been enclosed by commas, it's extra. I often go on picnics. Let's read it without the extra information. In my favorite season, I often go on picnics. So this sentence is meaningful. This laptop, comma, which has two hard drives, has been sold for $500. See, this part is extra. The next use of the comma is to introduce direct speech. Direct speech, you should know that a direct speech will be introduced by a comma, usually, okay? And how do I recognize that the part is direct speech? It has inverted commas or speech marks. These two parts are known as speech marks or inverted commas. So when we have these inverted commas and a comma comes before it, this use of comma is to introduce the direct speech. For example, he said, I'm not playing. So this is his exact words. Next one. To separate interchangeable adjectives. Well, usually when we have two adjectives, that we can use it interchangeably, meaning that we can replace it with each other. For example, he is a strong, healthy man. I can also say he's a healthy, strong man, meaning that if I change the place of the adjective, it is still acceptable. Next one, she's a kind, helpful teacher. So when we have two adjectives that we can use it instead of each other's places, the use of the comma is to separate two interchangeable adjectives. It was a long, boring movie. I can also say it was a boring, long movie. These are all the uses of commas. And here I have summarized this for you. You can write them down and memorize it like this, as it seems to be easier to cover up, to memorize. In April 2025, one of the questions says, look at the sixth paragraph, lines 29 to 32. And here it says, in what two ways are commas used in the first sentence of this paragraph? So we need to find the paragraph first and then highlight which one is the first sentence. Here, as I have already found this part is the exact paragraph, like it's the lines 29 to 32. And now we will be checking the first sentence. Here, until here is the first sentence. How do I know? From the beginning, from the first word until full stop, this is considered as the first sentence. And as you can see, there are many commas here. This is one of them, here, here, and here. It says, let's take a look at the question again. Find two ways. Okay, two ways the commas are used for. Let's find out together. Here we have to read it. You think of all the boats that are driving around, all the ships, and the offshore drilling, all the noise we are making in the ocean here. So it's very clear that the use of these commas are to separate items in a list. You can see to separate ideas or items in a list, all the ships or the offshore drilling, etc. So this is one of them. Next one here, all the noise we are making in the ocean, comma, and then you realize just how much, okay, etc. So it's very clear that after the comma there is an and this is another clause. We can basically say that this is to add another clause, or let's say to join two clauses. We have got a clause or adding another clause because we have got one of the fanboys, which is and. Let's check the question and the choices again. Here, mm, to indicate direct speech? No, it's not. To separate items in a list? Yes, it is. To add another clause? Yes, this is another one. To make a contrast? No. To introduce an example? No. So this is one of the typical examples, or one of the examples of the questions of the checkpoint of grade 6. Now we have a text, and we will be checking some of the uses of the commas in this text. If we read together, recycling means collecting discarded waste and using it. Okay, we don't have any commas here until this part, this comma. For example, comma. So let's work together. What is the use of this comma? Think about it. If you need more time, you can pause the video to think. What is the use of this comma? Is it to separate items on in a list? Is it to separate two clauses? Come on, think. It is to separate the connective from the other words of the sentence. For example, is a connective, then a comma. Next comma is here. Think about it. What is the use of this comma? Come on, read from the beginning of the sentence. Old tires can be used whole as road barriers or swings for children, or they can be melted down and they're rubber. So it is to, yes, it is correct, to separate two independent clauses or to join two independent clauses, because we have got one of the fanboys, which is all. To join two independent clauses, to add another clause, in other words. Next one. New things such as building materials, comma, tiles, and sport surface. This one seems to be very easy, as we have got some words, materials, tiles, and sport surfaces. So the use of this comma is to correct, to separate items in a list. And Dears, you can check other uses of the commas as we have here. Okay, like in every text, you can check. You can just firstly guess what is the use of each comma and then check whether it's correct or not. Guys, that is it for this lesson. The use of commas are really, really essential, although they are not that difficult. Only there are some techniques and some, let's say, rules you need to memorize so that you will cover it. I hope this video is useful for you and have a nice time.